Hey, I'm Renee. This is Friday Night Game Night, and tonight I'm going to share with you one of my favorite interviews of all time. And this is something that I did over at PAX U. This is something that I was given an opportunity to meet with these guys simply by being in the same circle. We were both in the social media area, and I saw them at a table and was like, hey, do you want to do an interview? Because I was shy and scared of people. And I didn't know who anybody was, but apparently all these other people knew who everybody else was. So anyway, so I was talking to Joel, and he's like, yeah, let's go out here. Then we can have more, like, it'll be quieter. Cool. So then Danny comes by, and he's like, hey, blah, 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 I'm Danny. I'm like, oh, hi, camera guy, because I didn't know who anyone was. And I didn't know who I was interviewing. I just knew that these guys were in the media area, and they seemed not very terrifying. So after that, I started filming immediately, because then Danny asked me if I wanted to use his mic, and that was the first time anyone had ever asked me if I wanted to use their mic, which is a pretty big thing for me because I was still learning how to do everything. And I didn't know how to use a mic, and he like set it all up and did all this stuff, and that's what you'll see in this video. But I want to show you this stuff because it's the background of the stuff that most people don't see. So a lot of people see the interview, some people see only the board game, or some people only see whatever it is that people are showcasing. But what you don't see is all the in-between and fun stuff, and that's the stuff I want to show you because it's fun. So this is what I'll say. I've had a great pleasure of getting to know these guys. They seem really sincere. They've been really helpful in trying to help me get my podcast stuff ready. They field questions. They have introduced me to a few more people who are also really nice and super like kind, and just like when I think about the kinds of people that I want to support, this is the kind of group of people I want to support. Joel, I haven't really gotten to know Joel very well. I've gotten to know Danny a little bit more just because I have his number and I text him and bother him with a bunch of random questions all the time, podcast and what have you. But it's good. It's fun. And I met Annie through them, and Annie's really sweet. And just any time I think of what I like to see in a company, it's what these guys bring. It's authenticity. It's a real cool design. It's working with real artists, by the way, not any of the AI generated art that we're seeing come out in board games. And it's just fun. Like, they're just kind people. I like to support kind people. So this is me doing that. This is an interview that I had with the two guys, and this is X Seekers of Fortune and the Megamoth Studio Super Secret Podcast.
Being downstairs.
Yeah, I you know what, I've been so nervous about buying anything that connects because I don't want to lose the, like, what if I do it wrong and the audio is not in my...
You will know if the audio is working or not, I'll say that.
You can just play it back real quick and you'll hear whether or not. So
yeah.
First thing we do is connect this adapter to your lightning. Do you have the lightning? So okay. So if you connect that.
Or yes, that's the 14.
Okay.
Joel, I'm going to give you this one.
Yes, sir.
Let me turn this on first.
Yeah. Tell me when I can turn mine on. This is what you get a test run for the Rode Wireless Go 2.
We just got these at Best Buy. They're pretty affordable.
Have you tried very many before, or is this like the
This was like the first, but it was good enough that we haven't had to try other sites at home.
That's awesome. I bought some from Amazon, and I was like, oh, like only like if you're like perfect, that's the only way you can hear it. And I'm like, that's not, I don't know.
That's
like, I'm afraid
good.
well, because I'm at the convention, I'm asking everyone all these questions. Like, I've been using what is it? Descript a little bit to do some of the background editing.
Do you like that?
So I'm like brand new to all the kind of editing that, you know, like I usually I'm like, oh, I'm editing on TikTok. But it's been good for getting like the sound down in the background.
Oh, that's good.
So that was the thing where I was like, yes, because I had tried Adobe and I was like, I'm not a master of video or audio. I can't. It's just I'm not going to be able to. So I'm better on camera. I'm better on, you know, interviewing and all those things. So for me, I'm like, I just need to hire this part out. But while I can't, it's been pretty good. So I just dabbled in it a little bit, but so far I try to keep everything clean and tell everyone to speak up.
Pay dividends because then you won't have to worry about editing your audio,
Right.
you know, or sweetening it up.
Yeah,
it's ready
no,
to go.
Exactly.
It's not picking up yet.
So I'm gonna put this like this.
There you go. Should be on.
Okay, so that plugs in, and then this one will plug in here. And then this one will plug into the receiver, so you can kind of see the audio levels there. And then I would recommend just testing it to make sure that it is. And then if you want your own voice to clip, you can just use that one. You clip it to your shirt or whatever. I usually will
Oh, so you flip again?
Yep. And then that's your receiver. And then you can try and see if it.
Do you want to do a test record really quick and see?
Oh, I've been recording this whole time, so
Oh,
we'll be
okay.
testing, yes.
Well, okay. Maybe we do a little quick test video so you can see that the audio is working, and then we can run.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. So I'll do the test right now.
Okay.
Hi.
Hello. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Just got my coffee. Got a breakfast biscuit. What's the market next door, Danny? We went to Reading Street, and we've been there like every day.
Yeah, I had
it's
the crepes
amazing.
yesterday. It was
It's
wonderful.
like something out of the Yakuza games. I did not know what big cities had to offer like this. I'm from Austin, Texas. So
Oh.
yeah, so we like to think we're a big city, but we don't have the amenities. We don't have the trains, and we don't have these real awesome markets.
I'm
Texas.
from Texas Pride.
How you doing, y'all?
I'm great. I'm from Chicago, so we are a big city.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
We are a very big
Our
city.
friend Ben Mertz, who you should meet later today, is also from the Chicago area. He's in the suburbs.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for not saying he's from Chicago, but he's actually from the suburbs. We have a thing about that in Chicago.
I'm
like,
sure
you're in Naperville, that's not the suburbs.
Yeah,
or that's not Chicago.
he'll
funny.
be the first to tell you he lives in the suburbs and
Thank
goes
God.
into the city.
Thank God.
Excellent.
Okay, so who are you and what do you do?
Hi, I'm Joel Watts with Megamoth Studios. We are both a game company that has made X Seekers of Fortune. You can find us on Kickstarter or xseekersoffortune.com, but we're also a media company that does podcasts about games and game design. You can find that at YouTube at Megamoth Studios. Just search YouTube for Megamoth Studios and you'll find our podcast.
That's awesome. And how long have you guys been doing the podcast?
We've been doing the podcast since, what was that, May. So we went to Comic Palooza this past year in Houston, Texas, and there we knew it's like we need to start recording our adventure and our journey as game designers. So we decided to start recording the podcast. The first 10 or so are just Danny and I, my co-designer, co-creator, collaborative partner, and we did those. We learned how, got our sea legs on the podcast the first 10 episodes, and now we're starting to invite game creators and other people in the game industry on to be our guests, and we have some wonderful guests like Warren Cole from TikTok, Bryant, who does Alpha Clash content, and John DeCampos, who is with Terrible Games. That is an amazing one.
That's awesome. And how long have you been in game development?
We just 1 year basically. Danny just came to me a year ago in October of 2022. He had an inspiration for a game that was going to play like Magic meets Rummy, and then we started working on it together. Since I had a design background, I was able to make the prototypes, and we were able to design the cards together. And just through iteration, rapidly, we came up with X Seekers of Fortune here. And 1 year later, we have art, design, graphics. It's about to be a box ready to go. So look out for it in about March or April. We'll be going to Kickstarter, but you can go to xseekersoffortune.com today to get onto our newsletter.
That is awesome. And what are you projecting the runtime for that game?
The runtime, we've gotten it to about 25 minutes for a really serious competitive match.
That's awesome. And what is it, a deck game?
So it's not a deck building game. It's a strategic card game. It's almost its own beast. We don't even have a great way of categorizing it because it's going to create a category all of its own. But it can expand with your skill level. So the higher up in the skill level you go, the more intricate it can become. But I would say the big thing to know is that you're an adventurer like Indiana Jones or Lara Croft, and you're going on adventures, following leads to find treasure. And the first person to get their 5 adventures complete wins the game. It deals with a lot of issues that other deck building games like Magic or other TCGs have, where in those games you have to build your deck to have specific answers. In our game, you always have access to some of the most impactful answers. They're just part of your kit.
How many players?
Right now, it's suited best for 1 versus 1, but we can play it a 4-person free-for-all. And we are hoping to expand as we release new Action X cards. These here are the Action X cards.
Oh, cool.
And that's what we're going to expand the game with. And as we get more Action X cards into the game through expansions, we are hoping that it becomes almost a cube-like experience where you sit down with 8 of your friends, you draft the Action X deck, and then you all play your discrete games with each other.
That is really cool.
Yeah,
That sounds
we're
awesome.
pretty excited about where it's going, but it's already a fun game, and it's great for if you're a Magic player, but you have friends that you want to play a game with, and they don't want to learn Magic. It's great for that. Hey, your friend plays Yu-Gi-Oh, you play Magic. You're not going to learn each other's game and buy all those cards, but you get X Seekers of Fortune. You have a TCG style game that is just a meta in a box, and it's going to be easy for both y'all to learn quick.
What are you projecting price point?
We've been for a while there. Can I say the 3.5?
It's okay.
Well, what you'd like it to be eventually.
Let's say we are looking at maybe the base game being around the $35 mark, but we want to add some extra content, play mats and things like that come in the box. Maybe push it up to maybe $45-ish, maybe a little higher.
So standard price for a new game.
Yeah, pretty much a standard price for a new game. You're going to get a lot of value out of that, and you're not going to have to worry about collecting further cards. If you just want to buy the base game, that will see you through very well. Danny and I are still playing it every day, pretty much. As the game designers, we still sit down. We went home the other night after a party. We had a few drinks in us, and we're like, let's play some X Secrets of Fortune.
That is awesome. That's the kind of game you want to play. That sounds really cool. How do you manage the work? So, are you working full time? Is this your full time gig? What are you doing? Is there a work-life balance?
I'm still working for an undisclosed pizza company, and I just on my deliveries, I get on the phone with Danny when we have work to be done, and Danny can be my hands there. Sometimes Danny's on the road for his job. He works in logistics, so he sometimes has to take big trips, and I can be the hands on the keyboard when he's out on there. So we just divide and conquer, and we do whatever the next thing is that we need to do together. But we always come together, have a great conversation about what needs to happen, and figure it out together, get on the same page.
Favorite game of all time?
I mean, besides Magic the Gathering, I mean that used to.
Is that it? Is that
I
your
mean,
favorite
I would
game
say
of all
that
time?
Magic the Gathering is almost too big of a game to call your favorite game of all time, because Magic the Gathering is so many different things. Is it Commander? Is it Cube? Is it drafting? So I'm just going to put it to the side. It is. I would call it the doom of card games. It is such a big card game that it makes you imagine other card games. I would say at least a third of the games down there today are things inspired because people had a good idea for Magic, and they were not going to sell it to WotC, so they were just going to sell it to the public themselves. So outside of that, I would say I'm always down for a great game of Codenames. That is like the game. Codenames. That is the game that will let you just learn your friends, like try to crack the code of like, how does this person think? Where do we align on? I think it's a great party game that still is strategic, and it still has like a true winner at the end. And I like that about it.
That is awesome. Thank you so much.
That's my pleasure.
Where can we find you online?
Okay, so there are two places that we'd love for you to go to. First, xsecretsoffortune.com. That's going to be our landing page for our game, X Secrets of Fortune. You can learn more about it there and get signed up for our newsletter. Now, if you want to see me and talking, and my business partner talking, Danny, you can find us on YouTube. Just look for Mega Moth Studios on YouTube. You'll find our podcast there. We really love to talk game design, and like we just released a strategy guide with Orange Ripple about how to best maximize your time at conventions.
Any social media presence?
Social media presence, I mean, the big one for Megamoth Studios would be to go to TikTok for Megamoth Studios on TikTok. Instagram, I think it's better to look up X Secrets of Fortune on Instagram. And if you wanted to follow me, I believe I'm just the Joel Watts on Instagram. That's a good place to hit me up. You can DM me there if you're interested in collaborating or have more questions about X Secrets of Fortune, or you want to come on our show.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure.
Hi.
Hi,
Who are you and what do you do?
I'm Danny Ayub with Megamoth Studios. I am a content creator and game designer, and we created X Secrets of Fortune.
Awesome. And what is your favorite game of all time?
Magic the Gathering. I would say Rummy is a close second, and I also like chess a lot.
I can't imagine that you developed a game that was literally those two games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's basically it. I wanted to make a version of Magic I thought I could play with my parents and my kids. So,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Remember to check out Megamoth Super Secret Podcast or Podcaster Listened. Be on the lookout for the June 4th launch of X Secrets of Fortune and follow them online. Thanks for joining me for another Friday Night Game Night. See you next week.